Hey, so the topic for today is triggering. So I actually had an experience yesterday where I'm in a group chat with some friends, and one of my old buddies wrote something that somehow triggered me. And it got me to thinking about how what triggers us is often something that we need to really look at within ourselves. And at first, of course, I responded to him based on what I saw in him that was an issue that I felt like he needed to deal with. A lot of times he sends out these text messages and jabs people, basically criticizing them for some weakness that they have or some way that they are, the way they act about in respect or in response to certain things. And so he'll basically tear them down, talk negatively about them, but do it in kind of a joking way. And he always says, "Oh, I'm just having fun. I'm just joking, da 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 da." But underneath all that joking, there is something that bothers him. There's a pain, there's an issue. And so basically I was like calling him out on it because it pissed me off. He does this on a regular basis and he gets away with it by just calling it a joke. So I nailed him for it. And of course he didn't like it, but his response was one where he started to get somewhat defensive and started asking me for facts about what I was saying. And basically the way I addressed it with him was, this isn't about facts, it's about how people feel. It's the way he was making people feel was the problem. It wasn't the facts of whether it happened a certain way or that something did or didn't happen in the way that he was saying it. And basically he kept going back to that. And it's like, well, basically, I'm not getting any facts from you. You're not telling me, specifically what it is that's a problem, and that's why I can't even work on it. But what I was trying to get across to him is that it was what he was saying, and also sometimes the way he was saying what he was saying, where he jabs people and it comes off as offensive, and people just don't want to hang out with him because of it. So he had kept addressing it based on the facts, and I was trying to address it based on the way he was making people feel, including relatives of his that are on this group chat. And anyway, what it came down to at the very end of this back and forth between himself and me is that the very issue that I was getting on his case about was something that I was dealing with myself. Because basically I was saying that he was being resentful, or that he had resentment and anger towards somebody, and that's why he was reacting the way he was. And when it finally came down to the end of our interaction, there was resentment and anger in me toward him about how he had responded either to me in the past or how I saw him respond to others in the past. There's just this repetitive behavior that made me angry. So basically it was something within myself, and I was projecting it on him. Now, that's not to say that what I am that's not to invalidate what I was saying about what he's dealing with, because I think he has a lot of, health issues that are associated with his inability to really look at himself and deal with the anger and underlying resentment that he has. And I think that ends up coming out in the jabs that he makes toward other people. So I'm not invalidating what my original premise was, but what it ended up happening at the end of the conversation is I actually exposed some anger and resentment that I had within myself that I wasn't facing myself. part of the clearing of that resentment was actually this conversation that we were having over text. And it helped me to get it off my chest. And as part of this thing that I'm doing now where I'm looking at being radically honest. And it's based on a book, I can't remember the name of the author, but there's a book called Radical Honesty. And it's essentially about just being authentic with other people, being radically honest with them in a way where you tell them what you're really feeling, what is going on inside you. You're expressing to them what's going on right now in the environment around you, and also what you're feeling inside. And so in my responses to him, in the way I was chatting with him, I was expressing basically what was going on with me and how and what effect what he was doing had on me. So, but the final thing about this that was the real issue, and the one that I'm trying to bring out here in this video, is that I came to the conclusion that basically I was getting on his case about something that really is an issue with me. So basically I was projecting. And intellectually, I know that that's what happens when I am bothered by something that somebody else does, that basically it's a reflection of who I am. It's a reflection of something that's going on within me. So what he did triggered me, and that trigger actually was bringing up emotions inside me that I need to work through myself. And so it was an interaction that was healthy and helpful to me. I don't know if it helped him at all. I got to express some things that at least he knows where I stand with him. He may not like it, but at least I'm being upfront and honest instead of carrying this resentment and holding it in so that he doesn't, so that I feel like I'm just simmering underneath, because I don't like being there anymore. I don't want to simmer. I don't want to hold this anger in. And if I can let it out and express how I feel, and it's best, of course, if I can do that without exploding. And so in this case, I was letting out anger and resentment and being very candid with him without it. And I don't think that, I mean, I could tell by his responses that he was somewhat trying to understand, and he didn't seem overly angry about it, but at the same time, he was trying to be very politically correct in the way he was responding to me, which indicates to me that he wasn't really listening, that he wasn't really getting in tune with himself to try to understand me on a deeper level, because he was still trying to address it with just the facts. But in any case, regardless of how he responded, I felt much better after the interaction because I was able to release. I was able to get this out and allow it to flow and feel comfortable in that honesty with him without worrying about what he thought about me and without worrying about what others in the group chat thought about me, which I think is a very important thing, is in being honest with other people. If we can just say what we feel without being concerned that we're going to offend somebody, then we can be our authentic selves. And by being our authentic selves, we let go of this constant desire to please, and we can actually just be real. Just be real. And that's really where we start to enjoy life more, is by being who we are every moment of every day. And instead of wearing this mask that just continually blocks others from seeing who we really are. And I don't know if it totally blocks others from seeing that. I mean, I think they do see some of it, but the mask actually creates a barrier, and I think others see that even as fear. They sense that there's something wrong that is keeping you from being authentic and keeping you from being real. And in doing that, it often keeps others away. And being authentic actually draws people in, because now your energy is flowing and it attracts people because they see the authenticity, and that people are automatically drawn to those who can be open and authentic, even if what their open authenticity might be emotionally aggressive at some times, or show anger, or show maybe even negativity. But if it's open, if it's real, if it's honest, it's still attractive. So, be real. That's my challenge for you today. Ciao.